Yeah, sorry, there's just a question here or from Justice. Oh, this is tuned in.
Justice.
Would you agree that there's still divisions between the tribes, between Igorots and Diaspora? Or at least what do you
No,
guys see? I'm gonna say
that's
yes, but
that's a good
what
question.
have
Yeah,
you
we
guys
just
seen?
kind of talked about that maybe before you came in, Justice. We did mention a little bit about because people do tend to take some of their old stereotypes of other groups with them, even in into the diaspora. And once there's a little bit of headbutting, that it all kind of comes out. So I think in some ways it depends. To me, usually that stuff happens more when the community, the Igorot community, gets larger in number, and
Hmm.
we mentioned that earlier. But because what we found in people from Northern California, especially in the '90s, like I said, there out of necessity we came together, and even though if there was disagreements, they still like held their focus was that the bylaws will take care of everything, right, during organization meetings and stuff. And so it was never able. Most of these arguments weren't able to go so far, where like everybody would just split apart, or those old tribal things kind of come out and they start pointing them out at each other, or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I think that they're still out there. People take them with them, especially when the community gets bigger. Then they have more people to kind of like talk about their issues
exactly.
amongst their own people.
I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. Like he was pointing out when we were in Philippines, because he was there as well. That
Mhm.
especially visiting Kalinga, he's saying his grandma made it clear that a lot of the there is a lot of division between the Kalingas there, Kalinga people there. So I feel like it would be here as well if there was enough of them. But I think I mean there's quite a bit, but I think they stick together more than just because they want to or have to or whatever.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and
Well, yeah, sorry.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
It's interesting how he's saying that uh, his grandma made it clear that she sees the Igorots and Kalingas as separate groups. Because how I grew up in the diaspora, because of Bebop, um, and definitely it was because of Bebop. Like Kalinga, Kalinga, Benguet, they're all Igorots, and I remember even after IIC in Hawaii, I was reading more into stuff about Igorots and like how some people from Abra, like or the Tinjins and the Isnig, they they
Hmm.
they're they almost kind of like see themselves as separate from the other Igorots, that sort of thing. I think that's
Yeah.
the kind of um, not mentality, but the kind of sentiment that Justice is trying to express
Hmm.
with what his grandma was saying. I think it's kind of like
Yeah.
because like for me, an Iboloi, like there are clear distinctions between Ibolois and the other Igorot tribes. Like definitely, there's a if you put the Igorots in a spectrum, there's like the Ibolois, and then people further up north are completely were like very different in a lot of ways. But um, I find that within the diaspora, there's more of a sentiment of oneness for Igorots, and
Hmm.
definitely throughout time there has been that with with the whole organization of the car and all that stuff, which is super cool. Like that's the reason why it makes me proud to be an Igorot, is the fact that we can overlook all these differences and whatnot, but still, still hold on to our own tribes. But the fact that we have similarities and the fact that we call each like ourselves Igorots is the fact that like I think is a really cool thing compared to like other tribes in the Philippines and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
also interesting saying that Igor or Kalingas see themselves separate from Igorots because during IAC they were making a case to like make Tubuk the capital for the Cordilleras.
Mhm.
So I
Oh
don't
wow.
know.
Okay.
As
That
opposed to
was
Baguio,
Really?
right?
yeah, I don't know. They wanted well their vision was to have like a the Cordillera administrative region and have um Tabuk as the capital of that.
Right.
That can happen. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's gonna be interesting if that actually happens.
But there's a lot of layers that go on to this. I mean, if you go, so Jay, we're just talking about. I don't know if you've been able to hear what we've been talking
No,
about,
I
but
had to
he
reset
was saying
so
that.
that my video can kind of match up again,
Oh
or my
yeah,
sound can
he was
match up.
talking about in IIC that um uh they want to make
They they were
Tabuk the
proposing
potential.
that Tabuk would be the capital for the Cordillera administrative region.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's what they're proposing.
interesting.
Most people there were from Kalinga, so it wasn't much
Yeah,
of a discussion. So I don't really know where that's gonna go. Just found it interesting,
Hmm.
especially the fact that
but that was good.
some Kalingas, according to Justice, don't see themselves as Igorots. So pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's
there's a
definitely
lot.
much more
Sorry.
necessary when you live outside of like the distinction as your separate tribe becomes less so when you're outside of 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 the homeland, and it really has to do with just plain necessity. A lot of Filipinos who are not Igorot people, they they question our own identity as being Filipino, and for whatever reason, some of that conversation still exists. And so, the importance when you're living in the diaspora of having this Igor identity, I think, is even more because we're already diluted. We live in the cultures that we are. For myself and my family, my children, they're going to live in America. It's not like they're going to move back to Philippines, if ever. We're going to have generations and generations of people here. And and that's going to be true for wherever we are in the places that we are. So the some of the issues will be clearly different uh, because the way we see identity is going to be raised up. That's going to be unique to who we are in the places that we are. So if you make yourself much smaller by just singling yourself out, like, hey, I'm a kankanae bago, from La Union. Um, Boy, that's just pretty much identifying myself and my relatives. you know, I mean, that that i- that's not gonna help me understand the wholeness of who I am. And so the Igorot identity, at least in the diaspora, I think it means something entirely a little bit different as opposed to if you live there
Yeah,
in Philippines. And so
yeah,
the issues
because
in the Philippines are different, and some people
yes,
are very much invested into that. I'm more invested over here just simply because, we're here and my family's here. My grandchildren eventually will be here and all this kind of stuff. So, and I think that we have to look forward that way, that we still have this common identity together as Igorot people. And but even that term doesn't apply to everyone because my kids also have Ifugao in them. And you know what Ifugals think? Generally, a lot of Ifugals think, "Hey, they're just Ifugao. They're not Igorot people." So, but my kids have that in them too. So then, so if you want to split that all up, uh, I think that could lead itself into both blessing and curse. So you have to look for what's blessing, and so the Igorot identity is quite important for at least us who are here. I think that it makes us stronger. It gives us also people that we can relate to, in terms of like these common values, and in song and dance, and also in principles that we share, in faith that we share too. So it's different. So if someone's from the Philippines listening to our conversation and sounds like this is all foreign to them, yeah, it is. It is, because it's talking uniquely to experiences of Igorot people, of Filipino people, living in this wider diaspora, living in a country that they now call their home, also. And so, and I think we have to acknowledge that's a real experience for some of our people.
Nice. That's a good point. That
Yeah.
actually
Huge.
gets me thinking about our next topic in IN. So
Yeah.
that's that's a really good point.